Shalom, ka-Pewah. Let us now discuss the false views of the intermediate state. There are several false views of the intermediate state which are widely held. Some have no scriptural basis whatever. Others are based upon an incorrect interpretation of scriptures. Now, three of these will be treated here. Number one, the belief of the where the dead will go. First is the purgatory. The Roman Catholic and Greek Orthodox churches teach that those members who have lived imperfect lives must spend some time in purgatory in order that their sins and imperfections may be purged. Depending upon the seriousness of their offenses, the length of time spent in purgatory may last a few hours or centuries, terminated only by the last judgment. And according to the Catholic Church, the time in purgatory may be shortened by gifts of services rendered to the church or by prayers or masses sponsored by relatives. The doctrine of purgatory cannot be supported by the scriptures. The doctrine is based upon a passage taken from the Apocrypha, which is rejected by the canonizer of the Bible, found in 2 Maccabees chapter 12, verses 41 to 43. The apocryphal books were not a part of the canon of Scripture. They are included in Catholic Bibles, perhaps because of their support of doctrines not supported by the canonical Scriptures. No reference in Scriptures whatsoever to the intermediate state makes any reference to purgatorial sufferings. Furthermore, the concept of purgatory violates the plain teaching of Scriptures of the sufficiency of the blood of Christ to cleanse sin and salvation by grace through faith that can be found in Hebrews chapter 10, verses 10 to 23, and Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 to 10, Romans chapter 3, 24 to 28, Romans chapter 5, verses 1, 2, 9, and 10, and Romans chapter 8, verse 1, 31 to 39, then Romans chapter 10, verses 8 to 11, and finally, 1 John 2, 1, verse 2, and chapter 3, verses 1 and 2. That is the purgatory. There is an immediate state whom the Catholics, the Roman Catholic, believe. Then, secondly, another belief where the dead go is the soul is sleeping. This is the teaching after the death, or that after death the soul rests in an unconscious state until the resurrection. This doctrine is held by the Seventh-day Adventists, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and several smaller groups. The arguments advanced to support the doctrine of soul sleep are the following. The Bible often refers to death as sleep in 1 Thessalonians 4, 13 and 14, John chapter 11, verses 11 to 14. Secondly, it is assumed that the soul cannot function apart from the body, and therefore, we will not awaken until joined with the body at the resurrection. And thirdly, it seems inappropriate that the righteous should enjoy heavenly bliss, or the unrighteous suffered in Hades until after the judgment, in Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27. Now, here are the arguments for soul sleep. State above will be answered in the same order. Letter A, the use of the term sleep to describe death is a figurative and euphemistic expression to emphasize the fact that the deceased person still lives. According to W.E. Vine explains, the metaphorical use of the word sleep is appropriate because of the similarity in appearance of the sleeping body and a dead body. Restfulness and peace normally characterize both. The object of the metaphor is to suggest that as the sleeper does not cease to exist while his body sleeps, so the dead person continues to exist despite his absence from the region in which those who remain can communicate with him. Furthermore, the account given by Jesus of the state of the rich man and Lazarus immediately after death demonstrates clearly that their souls were not sleeping in unconscious. In Luke 16:22-31. Also in Paul's statement to the Philippians, having a desire to depart and to be with Christ, which is far better, in Philippians chapter 1, verse 23. Secondly, in refuting the belief of the soul sleeping, that the spirit of man can function apart from the body is made clear by Paul's treatise on death in 2 Corinthians, in which he says, therefore, being always of good courage, and knowing that while we are at home in the body, we are absent from the Lord. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We are good courage, or we are of good courage. I say, and prefer rather to be absent from the Lord or from the body and to be at home with the Lord. Therefore, we have as our ambition, whether at home or absent, to be pleasing to Him. In Philippians, or rather 2 Corinthians chapter 5, 6-8, according to New American Standard Bible. He also states that being at home with the Lord means absence from the body. Furthermore, the apostle's ambition was to be pleasing to the Lord, whether in the body or absent from it. If being absent from the body meant soul sleep, why would he concerned about being pleasing to the Lord after death? A sleeper could hardly be unpleasing to him. If Paul expected to sleep after death, his ambition to please would have applied only to existence before death. Since he expected to be conscious after death, he expected to please the Lord by praising Him. In Revelation chapter 7, 9, and 10. And also can be found in Hebrews chapter 12, 23, Revelation 6, 9-11, and Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. And thirdly, answering the assumption that men must wait the judgment before enjoying blessed or suffering punishment. According to Louis Berkhoff, one of the finest theologians, remarks, the day of judgment is not necessary to reach a decision respecting the reward or punishment of each man, but only for the solemn announcement of the sentence, and for the revelation of the justice of God in the presence of men and angels. Jesus said, he who believes in Him is not judged. He who does not believe has been judged already, because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. In John chapter 3, verse 18. There will be a believer's judgment concerning rewards for service, but not concerning his salvation. One's salvation is conditioned on faith in Jesus, according to 2 Corinthians 5:10 and 1 Corinthians 3:12, 15. And finally, the belief on Spiritism. Spiritism, which is thirdly, teaches that the living may communicate with the dead, and the dead with the living, usually through the agency of a medium. There is no evidence in the Bible to suggest that there can be legitimate communication between the living and the dead. In fact, the scriptures unequivocally forbid any attempt to do so, according to Leviticus 19:31, chapter 20, verses 6 and 27, Deuteronomy chapter 18, 9 to 12, Isaiah chapter 8, 19 and 20, and 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verses 13 to 14. There are two explanations for spiritist phenomena. Number one, they are produced by deceptive manipulation, has often been proved. Secondly, they are produced by lying spirit. In 2 Kings 22 to 23, and 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. In Acts chapter 16, Paul delivered a girl from a spirit of divination, that is Python, by which she was able to bring great gain to her exploiters. In Acts 16 to 19. Without doubt, evil spirit often deceive people who consult mediums by imitating the voice or appearance of deceased loved ones. Seeking biblical support, spiritists often cite the case of the witch of Endor, bringing up the spirit of Samuel in 1 Samuel 28, 7 to 20. However, that case can be no encouragement of spiritism, for Saul was punished with death for disobeying the Lord by consulting a spirit. 1 Chronicles chapter 10, 13 to 14. Ka-Pewah, kumusta? Ang buhay na pinagpapala ay buhay na nagpapala.